The Young and the Restless Spoilers. In Genoa City, heartbreak never comes quietly, and for Kyle Abbott, the echo of Claire Newman's goodbye was louder than anything he had ever faced. The confident, ambitious son of Jack Abbott had always believed he could balance love and power, business and passion, but the wreckage of his relationship with Claire proved how fragile even the strongest connections could be when pride and deception entered the picture. Their romance, once a symbol of two powerful families coming together in something pure, had now crumbled under the weight of Kyle's secrets. His impulsive decision to strike a private deal with Victor Newman, combined with the reckless kiss he shared with Audra Charles, had shattered Claire's trust beyond repair. For Kyle, the realization hit like a slow-burning fire. The lies meant to protect his family and his ego had cost him the one woman who made him believe in love again. Now, with Claire walking away, and whispers growing that she has found comfort in the arms of Holden Novak, Kyle finds himself adrift, trapped between regret and longing. The walls of Jabot Cosmetics, once his empire of ambition, feel empty without her. Every hallway, every echo of his own footsteps reminds him of the conversations they shared about merging their worlds, about building something lasting. He replays it all, wondering at what moment she stopped believing him, and when exactly he began losing himself in the chase for control. Yet even in heartbreak, Kyle's instinct isn't to surrender, it's to fix. And so he turns, in a twist no one could have predicted, to the one person who knows Claire better than anyone, her mother, Victoria Newman. At first, his visit to Victoria's home is practical, a desperate attempt by a man clinging to the idea that love can still be repaired. He expects distance, judgment, maybe even anger, but instead finds something different, understanding. Victoria, still haunted by the grief of losing Cole Howard, recognizes the pain in Kyle's eyes. There's a quiet familiarity in their shared loneliness, a kind of wordless empathy that lingers in the spaces between conversation. What begins as a plea for advice soon becomes something more, two broken hearts finding solace in each other's company. Over late-night talks about love, trust, and loss, they start to see reflections of themselves in one another. Victoria, who has spent months trapped in the shadow of mourning, begins to rediscover her voice in Kyle's determination to make things right. And Kyle, who has been living with guilt and confusion, finds a calmness in Victoria's strength that surprises him. What neither of them expects is the spark that begins to flicker quietly beneath the surface. Their connection grows not out of attraction but out of shared grief, an emotional alignment that slowly blurs the boundaries between comfort and something deeper. For Kyle, being around Victoria feels strangely grounding. She challenges him without judgment, listens without manipulation, and, for the first time since Claire left, he feels seen for who he truly is, not as Jack Abbott's son, not as a businessman, but as a man who has made mistakes and wants to be better. For Victoria, Kyle's presence offers a rare stillness in the chaos of her own life. He's younger, yes, and impulsive, but he carries an intensity that mirrors the restless energy she's always had. Watching him struggle with guilt reminds her of her own battles with love, how she's given too much, lost too much, and kept moving anyway. As days turn into weeks, their meetings become more frequent. What started as conversations about Claire slowly shifts into discussions about themselves, the choices they regret, the futures they can't quite picture, the emptiness that comes when love slips through your fingers. Sometimes, the conversations spill into laughter. Other times, into silence that feels too intimate to ignore. And while both try to convince themselves that this connection is innocent, the air between them grows heavier with every passing day. There's a certain danger in shared pain. It can feel like understanding when it's really dependency, like healing when it's really escape. Still, Genoa City thrives on complications, and soon enough whispers begin to circle. Employees at Newman Enterprises notice the time Victoria spends behind closed doors with Kyle. Jack, ever the protective father, senses something shifting in his son and grows wary. Even Claire, far away and trying to move on with Holden, can't ignore the subtle pang of jealousy when she hears that Kyle has been spending time with her mother. Yet for Kyle and Victoria, none of it feels scandalous, it feels necessary. They are two people clinging to the only thing that makes sense in a season of loss, each other. Late one evening, as rain batters against Victoria's office windows, their emotional walls finally collapse. The conversation starts the way it always does, with Kyle asking for advice about Claire, his voice cracking as he admits he doesn't know how to stop loving her. Victoria listens quietly, her eyes soft, her expression caught between maternal instinct and something she doesn't dare name. When she finally speaks, her words are more personal than she intends. She tells him that love doesn't always end when people part ways, that sometimes it lingers, reshaping itself into something new. The moment stretches, the silence thickens, and when Kyle reaches for her hand, neither of them pulls away. It's not passion that drives them, not yet, it's exhaustion, empathy, and a desperate need to feel alive again. For the first time in months, Victoria laughs without forcing it, and Kyle feels warmth where there had only been guilt. They know what this looks like to the world, they know it's wrong, and yet they also know that it feels real. Two people who should never have crossed this line find themselves standing on the edge of something that might either destroy them or save them. Still, deep down, Kyle's heart hasn't let go of Claire. He dreams of her smile, the way she once believed in him, and wonders if this new connection with Victoria is just a distraction from the emptiness she left behind. Victoria senses it too, the way his gaze sometimes drifts to nowhere, the quiet ache in his voice when he mentions her name. She knows she can never replace her daughter in his heart, nor would she want to, yet part of her can't help but wish that the universe had given them both a cleaner slate. In another time, in another life, maybe they could have been something more than broken people trying to help each other heal. As rumors swirl and tensions rise, the emotional landscape of Genoa City shifts. Jack confronts Kyle about his priorities, warning him that chasing ghosts only leads to ruin. Meanwhile, Victor Newman, ever the puppeteer, watches from a distance, curious about how far this tangled web between his daughter and Kyle might stretch, and what advantage he might gain from it. Claire, upon hearing the truth, faces her own storm of emotions, betrayal, disbelief, and, beneath it all, the painful realization that the man she once loved is drifting into territory she can never forgive. By the time the storm passes, no one will emerge unscathed. Kyle will have to decide whether his pursuit of love has turned into self-destruction, and Victoria will be forced to confront the truth about her loneliness. In the end, they may both realize that their connection was never meant to last, it was a mirror, showing them the parts of themselves they had buried beneath grief and regret. But even if it fades, even if Claire never forgives him, the time they spent together will change them both in quiet, irreversible ways. For Kyle, the lesson will be brutal but necessary. Love cannot be rebuilt on lies, and redemption cannot come through the arms of another. For Victoria, the experience may finally teach her that moving on doesn't mean forgetting, it means allowing herself to feel again, even if that feeling leads to heartbreak. And as the sun rises over Genoa City, one truth remains constant: in this world of power and passion, every connection, no matter how forbidden, leaves a mark that no one can fully erase. The mere idea of Victoria Newman and Kyle Abbott forming a romantic connection has sent ripples through Genoa City and beyond, not only because of their shared grief and emotional vulnerability but because of the uncomfortable truth that Victoria is the mother of Kyle's ex-girlfriend, Claire Newman. To longtime fans of The Young and the Restless, the concept walks a fine line between shocking and familiar, stirring both curiosity and controversy. It's not unprecedented for Genoa City to cross such tangled emotional boundaries. After all, forbidden love and generational entanglements have long been part of the show's DNA. But this particular storyline, should it unfold, could test the limits of redemption and morality even for a show that thrives on chaos. For many viewers, the tension isn't just about the taboo, it's about the emotional layers that lie beneath it. Victoria and Kyle's potential connection isn't born of lust or deceit but of shared loss. Both are grieving relationships that ended too soon. Victoria still mourns Cole Howard, while Kyle can't shake the ghost of Claire. In another setting, this could be seen as two lonely souls finding comfort in each other's company. But in Genoa City, comfort always comes at a price. What begins as emotional support could easily evolve into something deeper, and that's where the real drama begins. fans know that Victoria has walked down this treacherous path before. Longtime followers of The Young and the Restless will recall how Ashley Abbott's love life once stirred similar outrage when she fell for Ben Stitch Rayburn, only for him to later become involved with her daughter, Abby Newman. It was a storyline that tested loyalties and redefined relationships, leaving viewers divided between empathy and disgust. Likewise, Victoria herself has been part of emotional triangles that blurred moral lines and family boundaries. Years ago, her relationship with Cole Howard began under clouds of pain and betrayal, especially since Cole had previously shared an affair with her own mother, Nikki Newman. The scandal forced Victoria to confront what it meant to inherit not just her mother's beauty and ambition, but her complicated love life as well. History didn't stop there. Victoria later married Brad Carlton, a man who had once been engaged to her mother. The marriage, unsurprisingly, crumbled under the weight of jealousy, mistrust, and overlapping family ties. And when it did, Victoria sought solace in another controversial relationship with J.T. Hellstrom, a man who at one point had been romantically linked to her stepdaughter, Colleen Carlton. Each of these choices painted a pattern that Victoria seemed doomed to repeat, falling for men connected, sometimes painfully, to her family's tangled web. In that sense, her potential connection to Kyle Abbott would not be a departure from her history, it would be the next chapter in her legacy of complex love. Yet even in a world accustomed to blurred boundaries, this storyline feels especially volatile because of what it could mean for Claire Newman's character. Claire, once portrayed as fragile but redeemable, has fought hard to reclaim her place in Genoa City after years of trauma and manipulation. Her romance with Kyle symbolized hope, a bridge between two of the city's most powerful families. But if her mother were to become entangled with the same man who broke her heart, that hope could shatter completely. It's easy to imagine Claire's emotional stability unraveling under such betrayal. Once the daughter seeking redemption, she could instead spiral into darkness, consumed by resentment and jealousy. This kind of transformation, turning the once sympathetic Claire into a hardened, vengeful figure, wouldn't be new for The Young and the Restless, but it would be devastatingly effective. Soap history shows that heartbreak often births villains. The pain of betrayal, especially when it comes from family, can turn even the kindest soul into someone unrecognizable. If Victoria's guidance to Kyle evolves into something more, it could ignite a war between mother and daughter unlike anything Genoa City has seen in years. Imagine Claire's fury as she realizes that the two people she trusted most, the man she loved and the mother she looked up to, have crossed a line she can never forgive. The fallout could ripple across both the Newman and Abbott families, threatening alliances, reputations, and the fragile peace that's held these families together. Still, there's a tragic beauty in the possibility. For Victoria, who has spent most of her life searching for stability amid loss, falling for Kyle could represent yet another attempt to fill the void left by grief. For Kyle, the attraction could be more subconscious, a pull toward a woman who represents both strength and forgiveness, the qualities he failed to preserve with Claire. In that sense, their connection wouldn't be romantic at first, it would be psychological, an emotional dependency disguised as love. And yet, in the world of The Young and the Restless, such dependencies have a way of consuming the people involved until the line between comfort and corruption blurs entirely. But will the writers go that far? There's an argument to be made that Victoria, despite her complicated past, has matured beyond the recklessness that once defined her. Since Cole's death, she has become more introspective, more protective of her family, especially of Claire. Helping Kyle win back her daughter could just as easily serve as a redemption arc for Victoria, a chance to prove that she's capable of loyalty even when temptation looms. On the other hand, if the show chooses the darker route, it could mark the beginning of a long, emotionally charged descent for both women. In many ways, this potential twist mirrors the cyclical nature of The Young and the Restless itself: love, betrayal, guilt, redemption, always repeating, always reshaping itself through new generations. Just as Nikki and Ashley once faced public scorn for their romantic entanglements, Victoria could find herself walking that same path, a reflection of the very mistakes she once judged. And if history has taught Genoa City anything, it's that the sins of the parents rarely stay buried, they echo through their children, reshaping lives in unpredictable ways. If Victoria and Kyle's bond deepens, the consequences could redefine not only their own arcs but the dynamic between the Newmans and the Abbotts. Jack would be torn between protecting his son and confronting his old rival's daughter. Victor, ever the strategist, might seize the scandal as a weapon, turning it into leverage against the Abbotts. And at the heart of it all, Claire would be forced to choose between forgiveness and vengeance, a choice that could determine her future as either a heroine or a villain. Whether viewers welcome or reject the storyline will depend on how deeply it's explored. For some, the potential romance will feel distasteful, a repetition of tired patterns. For others, it could be the kind of raw, uncomfortable drama that The Young and the Restless has always excelled at, forcing its characters to confront their flaws in the harshest light possible. In either case, one truth remains certain: if Victoria and Kyle cross that forbidden line, nothing in Genoa City will ever be the same again. And perhaps, that's exactly what makes it so compelling.